platform has an obligation to stand for something. And I wrote something on my social media the other day, and I don't have the platform that Robert Kraft has, but corporations and individuals, leaders, have to draw the line somewhere. You can't work for me if you feel this way. You can't be my friend if you feel this way. You can't be near me if you feel this way.
Kaylee, you know that in April, I traveled to Poland with the Maccabee Group and traced the footsteps of the Holocaust atrocities, and with the purpose of education, and so that I could be a conduit for that education of others. And you know that as Christians, we are commanded to pray for the peace of Jerusalem. Those are the chosen people, our brothers and sisters, and I stay firmly committed to allied, shared interests of our allies, Israel and the people, the Jewish people. It just breaks my heart that so many, I think, look at this with either apathy or a lack of action, which is what the Jews need right now, is support and action.
Yeah, and I spoke to a Democratic congressman who said there's legislation that he was co-sponsoring on the Hill saying we must teach October 7th in our schools. I believe in that legislation. That needs to happen, and it needs to happen soon. It is appalling what we are seeing across the world. You have in Paris that celebration that was canceled, the New Year's Eve celebration. Now they're going to tape it instead of showing up in person. Look, I wouldn't want to show up in person at a huge event myself, but it's interesting. EU Today says they talk about logistics being the issue, unpredictability and prudence. And EU Today says few observers truly believe this is the whole story. The real story is there's a wave of anti-Semitism across the world. ISIS is peeping up yet again, and we see that out in Australia. And when you look at the data, it's appalling. 52% of people, Jews in 13 EU countries, have experienced anti-Semitism to their face. 90% have experienced it online. Think about that. The majority of Jews in EU countries have experienced it to their face. We are not far behind. We need that legislation now.
Oh, and we talked about yesterday that, 3% of the population here in America are Jewish, but over 80% of the hate crimes are anti-Jewish. It's appalling, Kaylee.
And part of combating anti-Semitism, I think, is being clear-eyed about what globalize the Intifada really means, because that is what it means. What happened in Australia is what it means. What happened in Paris, and then there were also 2 other threatened attacks in Germany and in Poland, where authorities foiled planned attacks by ISIS on Christmas markets. And so it goes to show that Jews aren't the only targets here. And I think that we need to be very clear-eyed about the true threat, which is radical Islamic terrorism. And in order to do anything about that, you have to be able to first name it. And it's telling that in the day after the Bondi Beach attack, the Australian Prime Minister could not bring himself to say those words. But he did find time to mention right-wing extremism twice. We have to be clear-eyed about the threat that the Western world faces. Otherwise, we're never going to be able to tackle it.
Well, you can catch the full interview between Bill Hemmer and Patriots owner Robert Kraft on Fox News Digital. Now, everyone, we've been speaking this morning about Nick and Rob Reiner and his wife, Michelle, and the court hearing that Nick is in currently. We're going to have that tape for you momentarily, so just stay with us as we anticipate the contents from that hearing momentarily. So we'll take it back to the couch to discuss a little bit more. Kaylee, you were in the middle of saying that the real threat is the radical extremism, and I also firmly believe that there's a parallel with elected officials sort of beginning to come out forcefully and condemn anti-Semitic rhetoric, anti-Semitic behavior, but also to call out the open source information that is everywhere, which is a stated intention to eradicate all Western civilization. That includes, to your point, Americans and Jews and just everything, right? That's why markets are soft targets and vulnerable, and now beaches and schools and synagogues and so much more. Talk to us about how we have here, excuse me, Nick Reiner making his first court appearance moments ago. Let's watch.
It will be a convenient date for us to come back for petition hearing.
Thank you. At this time, I'll take a waiver, speedy arraignment waiver from your client. Mr. Reiner, you have a constitutional and statutory right to a speedy arraignment. Your counsel is requesting that your arraignment be continued to January 7, 2026. Do you waive your right to a speedy arraignment so that your arraignment can be heard on January 7, 2026? In this counsel joining the waiver?
I join, Your Honor.
The court finds that the defendant has made a knowing and intelligent waiver of his right to a speedy arraignment, and that his counsel joins in that waiver. Matter set January 7, 2026 for arraignment in this department. Bail to stand at no bail. Anything further on that case?
Not by the defense, Your Honor.
Anything further?
No, thank you.
Thank
you, Your Honor.
So what you just saw there was the the defendant saying essentially waiving his right to a speedy arraignment, which means that we have not yet filed a plea. We don't usually, you hear the defendant say, but I plead not guilty, Your Honor. This did not happen because they are pushing this forward to January 7th. Now, you also heard the judge confirm that the defendant will remain in custody without bail until that point, which will be January 7th. So, Sandra, your
just some details out of the courtroom why you didn't just see Reiner appear on that video. He presented in a suicide prevention vest. The defense then objected to the media filming him in such. The court considered all factors and granted the media request to film, but decided that they could not film Reiner himself. No still images of his face will be provided by the court.
Now, note the commonality between this